I'm super glad I'm doing this video for all you out there, and I really stress this. Watch this video all the way through. I will cover every issue you're going to run into in this process, so watch it all the way through. I'm telling you, it will be worth your time. What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to TeeDogCustoms, to another video. In this video, we are going to be doing something that's very different to the channel. If you know these engines, it was very underpowered. So first thing I did was I popped the valve covers off to see if push rods were bent, because on these engines they love to the sleeve for the valve stem will slide, and then it will cause the rocker arm not to be able to move right, come off. Anyways, it bends the push rods and causes some issues. So I've actually replaced the heads on these. I've replaced each head once. So anyways, what I'm getting at is, in this video I'm going to show you guys how to do the swap over. We are going to, there is like an adapter you will have to buy, and we'll cover this more, but I got this off of Amazon. It's $50, but this is for the flywheel adapter. On this particular mower, it's got a hydraulic pump, you can see down here, that runs the steering right there. So you've got to adapt this pulley to the flywheel on this one. So that's what that does. This is a 4-bolt. You probably won't be able to see it, but this is a 4-bolt flange. This one is a 3-bolt. So that's why we need that adapter plate to adapt the 3-bolt flywheel to the 4-bolt. So we'll see how this goes. Before you start just ripping things apart, kind of think it out. I'm gonna pull a measurement right here, from here to here. That will give me the measurement I need for the engine to be right where it's at. I'm also going to pull a measurement from probably like here to the crank as well. That way I can get a measurement on where exactly the engine needs to sit. Now, I'm hoping these the block bolts line up the same, but you never know. Another thing is, we might have to adjust the placement of the engine, just on the fact alone that the flywheel plus the little adapter, we may have to slide the engine back more. It's just, I'm not sure at this point. Also notice that this has a box on the side that's got like a choke, ignition switch, all that. We're going to be doing away with that because we have this harness here that we are going to run all that through. So we're keeping our original throttle cable, choke, ignition. The lights doesn't really matter. We'll wire all that. Well, we don't need to worry about the lights at all. But the main thing, throttle, choke, ignition, I'm going to show you guys how to rewire that up, because we'll take the box off of this. So, all right, without further ado, let me grab some measurements, and once we get the measurements, then we'll go from there. All right, so that is the setting. I'm not really going to worry about making the measurement. I'm just going to tighten this down so it doesn't move, and that's just how much space between there we need. Gonna put this over here out of the way. Let's go grab a tape measure. From there to the center. Okay, so that's perfect. So from the end to the center of the drive shaft, it is exactly 1 foot. So we'll take this belt off first. Very easy. All right. Come on. All right. Belt is off. There is a rear belt, but we'll get that later. All right, I'm gonna try to set you guys up on a tripod so I can use 2 hands, get this done real quick. Maybe just set it up on time lapse, but I'm just showing you guys. Take off your fuel, take off your drive belt for the hydraulic pump. You're going to want to undo your starter. First of all, I would disconnect the battery. So take your battery, disconnect that, and then you'll take your starter off. There might be a ground cable like down here maybe going to the engine. And then you'll have your PTO clutch on the back. We'll have to take that off, the wiring for that, and then we'll also have to take the belt off. But once I get this stuff taken care of, I will pick up on this the trunk here grill, and then we'll assess what we can get from there. I did want to cover one thing real quick. When it came to the engine, me knowing it was blown, so I started this up. I took the oil filler cap off, and this thing just shot up in the air. Oil just started spraying out of the fill neck for the oil. So what that means is you're pressurizing your crank, which most commonly would be considered a ring issue. The rings are rings are toast. So over here, for ease of explanation, we'll just call this the driver's side. There's this wiring harness with the ground cable. There's another main ground source right there. So you'll take that off, and this will more than likely go back on to the engine. So this was right here on the starter, and this went to the positive terminal here. And this was ground. So as long as you kind of remember that, this ground as well. Now there's going to be 4 bolts right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll take those off. There's 2 on that side, 2 on this side. Take those off, and literally the engine will come right out. We will need to take this off. I'm going to wait to take that off until I go to mock up the new engine. The bracket here once broke, so I had to weld this. I probably will have to grind this off, but I had to weld this in. This is what keeps it locked into place. But anyways, we gotta take this belt off, and how you do that, you can see pulling up. So we'll need to pull up on this pulley and slide the belt off of it, and then yeah, we'll have to take the belt off, lift up on the engine when it's undone, because this bracket's welded in for now. Anyways, we'll come to that, but we've got everything unhooked. Like I said, remember, you might want to just hang on to this harness, if nothing else, for the clip to clip into this one if we so need to use it. But yeah, it's been like 10 minutes, so, or 15, whatever, but yeah, we should be good. This belt is off, so all that's left, four motor mount bolts. Let's get it. Got the 4 bolts off. I'm gonna give y'all a little pro tip. These are the 4 motor bolts. It is much easier with some kind of impact, because when you're under there, if you were to do it by hand, you can see how long those bolts are, and I believe they're like locking thread, at least the ones on mine are. And so it's not like you can loosen it and then twist it off. It's much easier with an impact of some sort. So yeah, that we've got the belt off as well, so this engine now can be manipulated around. We can slide this, that's probably as forward as it will go. So something to keep in mind though too, you've got this oil drain right here that goes in that hole. So let's see, yep, so it is pretty much loose. It'll take 2 hands, but literally what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up with 2 hands, get my gloves back on. Alright. Engine is out, and on my skateboard now, just for easy movability, we are gonna have to take this off and get this shaft here out, so we'll cover that. But I'm gonna go ahead and like scrape this, clean all this up, get all the nasty oil and stuff out of there, so we're starting with a fresh, clean surface. So I'll go ahead and put you guys on time lapse, and we'll just bang this out. So this is a 670cc VTWIN horizontal shaft gas engine. So when you go to pick an engine up, you will need to figure out what drive system yours uses, whether it's a horizontal or a vertical. If you have a pulley on the back that is, the shaft is horizontal, that means your engine is a horizontal shaft. If your shaft comes out the bottom with a pulley that's under, that is a vertical. So just keep that in mind. Pretty self-explanatory, but let's open this up. So this is a 22 horsepower, I believe. Now the old engine was a 23 horsepower, But my cousin recently did this on his, and his was a 25 horsepower, and he said that this had more power than what his had. So 23, even though this is technically under the horsepower that was originally in it, it should be fine. Alright, let's see. Okay. Right off the bat, I'm noticing that the fuel line is on the opposite side. So that means I'm going to have to run a longer, extensive fuel line. Yeah, the engine itself, maybe a little bit bigger. It's hard to tell, but yeah, I don't know. Let's get this out of here and see what we got. We've got some lift points on the engine. There's 2 lift points right here. There's this board you'll have to take off, so I'm going to do that right now. And I guess you could use these, keep them for if you decide to use these for the engine to mount it. Let's see here. There we go. And so this is the, I guess you could consider this the front of the engine right here. The back part is over here, obviously. Now, I am a little concerned, I'll be honest. I think this exhaust is gonna be in the way. So I might have to come up with a rerouting, a welding, cutting it, figuring something else out, but we'll cross that once we go to put it in. Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll get into all this later. I don't think so. There's no oil in this. Said add engine oil before first use. Engine comes with a little oil. So I guess there's a tiny bit of oil in here just to keep things lubricated. But you will have to buy oil and stick it in. We'll go over that. This shaft is going to have to come off and go on here. So that's why you need this 3-hole bracket to screw in there, and then we'll bolt this on. Now, because this is a Predator engine, not a whatever that is, Kawasaki, let me just cover the prices real quick. To get a new drop-in engine that would literally just plug and play, it was going to be about $3,000 for this engine. This one, $950. So do the math. Is it more convenient for you to just pay $3,000 on such an old mower? It might be for you, and that would be the easiest. So if you want to just drop it in, go with this option. You will have the option of just dropping the engine in. However, if you don't, that's what this video is for. My dad has a new mower, and it's like a 75-inch deck or something. It's huge. So he does not need that to spend that kind of money. Cool. Alright, so this will go in like that. And then, yeah, that'll work out just perfectly. I'm assuming you might take this off. I don't know. We'll cross that when we get there, but let's see. Got that. Alright. Yeah, so I think this now, yep, goes right in like that. You're gonna take this plate off. There's no need for it anymore because this adapter, and I will put this adapter in the description below, but there's, ooh, that is an, oh, okay, never mind. I almost had a blonde moment. I thought this wasn't gonna work because these came off of here, but I forgot it came with its own bolt, so I almost thought it wouldn't work. But so it comes with its own. They are Allen key, so pop these back in. Let me get the right Allen key. This is a 6mm Allen key. So make sure you get it in the center and this fan back on, right? Alright. Now, one of the other concerns with this, and me not having done this, I just don't know, is that this adds a little bit of length to the, I guess you could call it the drive shaft for the pump. So I don't know if we will have to, I don't know what we're gonna have to do. Something I might do as well, possibly, is cut a hole out of here. That way I can stick this back on and just have the drive shaft coming out the center, kind of like that. I think that would be best to keep, to keep grass clippings and stuff out of here. So that's my plan, is to do that. But make sure these get tight. It might not be a bad idea if you put Loctite on this. I probably should have done that, but I'll just make sure these are nice and tight. But I would recommend probably putting Loctite on those bolts, just to be safe. Let me move this, see if we can get these off. Alright. So this is a 4-bolt flange down in here. You probably can't see it. So another thing too, that we have some adjustability on this pulley as well. So I think we can manipulate this pulley a little bit. So if we are a little too long, we should be able to loosen it up and slide it off. That's kind of what I'm hoping, at least, because over here there is a lock. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, it's an Allen key lock that screws down. I'm going to take this Allen key out and see if I can't bust this loose. There we go. They definitely had some Loctite in that. Oh, sweet. Alright, so you can see how easy that just slid off. The only thing really keeping this planted is this lock nut. So that will give us some great adjustability when it comes to placing this. We can kind of move this up and back as we need. So that kind of puts my mind at ease with that, to just make sure, hey, this will be no problem. So now this can come off. This, wouldn't fit to stick back. I like the metal, but it just wouldn't work. It's got 4 bolts here. There's no bolts there. So this is kind of what we're left with, like this. So now I think what I'll do is I'll take some maybe pliers. The way it's circled like this, I think it's circled like that on purpose, so all you have to do is cut how many you want and literally it'll pop out, so it makes it really nice. Let's try, that's not gonna work. Give me a second. So I'm just going around like this. Alright, so we've got the center cut out. We'll see if this is enough. And it is perfect. So your shaft might be a little different, but I cut out 2 circles. You might have even been able to get away with just cutting out the very center one, because there is a little bit of play. So you might want to try just doing the first circle out. And just like that, guys, this is the part that you need. So let me make sure the threads are the same. Good. Yes. I don't know. I might have to go get new bolts. I'm not sure that the thread pitch is the same. But they might be just designed that way. I think we'll be fine. And yep, so the holes all line up. This will kind of be a snug fit on there. You'll notice there's a little cutaway right here, and there's this little lip. That's gonna snug fit really tight in there. So it's important that you get this on straight. Test this out. Boom. Yeah, that's perfect. You could try the one, but I don't know that cutting just the first circle out would work. You could try it though, but alright. So like that's pretty easy, self-explanatory. So let's take a look at this box. This is the more complicated side of things that I'm gonna need to just kind of figure out for myself as well, but is the wiring. So right now this box right here controls everything. You've got your throttle, you know, that sort of thing, or choke, or this is your choke right here. The throttle positioning is all set up on the opposite side. So whereas on my old engine, you've got it coming in the passenger side, it's all coming in from the driver's side. And then you've got the fuel coming in from the passenger side. It might be the kind of deal where it looks like they have these brackets here, like a hole here and a hole here, and you could run off of down here. And so that might be exactly what these are for, actually. So it might not be as bad as I think. I think we may have lucked out, whereas Predator thought ahead and gave you positions to mount these. So it looks like that's what this is for. So whew, should be not as bad as I thought. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So the next thing we need to do though is unconnect these. This is going to be your throttle right here. So this one is your throttle, and this one is your choke. So there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and take these two Phillips heads off and then loosen these up so we can take this out. I'm going to keep this box. It's kind of a cool box, but I want to be able to see where all this stuff is going, so I know on my wiring harness what I need to do. And this is why I was saying you might want to keep the wiring harness because off of your old one, because now what we can possibly do is just take the fitments off of that, transfer it over to this, and plug and play, be good to go. So that's kind of the whole idea there. But let me get into taking this box off. It looks like there's 10 mil down here, but it looks like we'll have to start with this. So right here, and that might be it. So let's start with these right there. Let's work on getting this back part figured out. There is a key. So in this package here, there is a little keyway here. Make sure you hang on to that. This is the point where having an actual impact, the drill's not going to cut it. Having an actual impact is going to come in very handy when it comes to stuff like this. I feel like this is a smaller thread. Now the fun part is figuring how this is going to come off. Sometimes you have to bang this off a little bit. Come on. grab a little crowbar, pop it off. So you can see that. Should work the same, I would think, but we'll have to see about that as well. Alright. Now, because this engine I'm pretty sure is toast, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to rebuild it, I am banging on the crankshaft to hopefully loosen things up a little bit. But slid a little bit. Then I'm trying to get a crowbar in between the engine and the pulley on this back side, so that's all I'm doing there. So I didn't realize that the battery ran out, so I'm not sure where we were. However, I did get this off. It came off here, and this is what came out of here, although this is a different size. Anyways, so typically I think I would use this and stick it somehow in like here. I think this is what I usually do. I just can't remember. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I think this should work. Like that. Wrong sides. There we go. Alright, don't do that. I'll have to rebend my pulley. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Maybe right here. So I used this to pull this off. It'll pop off in three pieces, I guess. This is one piece. Then we've got the second piece, which slips in here, part of the clutch, and then this piece is grooved in here. So you have to make sure it gets in there, or else this will not work when you go to put it back together. Let's see if I can get this off. There you have it, guys. I got it off, but you can see it is bent a little bit. There might be a puller built exactly for this. I don't know, but yeah, that it is what it is. I am just now noticing that there is a keyway built into this, so that would mean that we don't need this key. Let me see if this fits. Alright, but it looks like this shaft is a bigger shaft than this. So I'm trying to figure out what our options here are gonna be. I'm going to do a little bit of research so you guys don't have to do the research, and we'll see about what options. We may end up getting a whole new clutch assembly that is set up for the Predator, but you can visibly see the difference now. Like, this is much bigger than that, so we'll figure that out. I'm back. I've done some research. Here's the issue. This is a 1-inch shaft. This is 1.25 inches. So obviously you can see the problem in that. The real cure for this issue is to get a new pulley / clutch that has a 1-inch opening. I might try to do a bushing, cut it, see if there's a bushing I can press in that will take up that space. But then on that, you start running into issues with the keyway, because the pulley's designed for the keyway to sit completely flush down in there. If you have one that's made for a bigger unit, then you're going to be pulling it up with not as much bite on your keyway here to bite. So my cousin has done this on his, and he was using a Toro, and for whatever reason the Toro shaft is a 1-inch shaft. So he could literally, if you're doing this on a Toro or like Exmark, I think too, and maybe certain John Deeres, I don't know, but this John Deere, which I believe this is a Kawasaki, this particular engine is 1.25 inches, and so I think I'm going to tell you guys the easiest way for this would be to, if you have a 1.25 inch shaft, just buy a new clutch assembly. It comes with the pulley, and I believe it's like $150 on Amazon. I will put that also in the link in the description for that, because that will make your life just a lot easier to go that route. So that's probably the route I will be going. Might have to shave 1 inch or so off of this assembly, because if you remember, we put that adapter which sticks it out. We'll see when I get this up into position if we will have to do that or not, but just keep that in mind. You might have to shave off some here to get that to work. There we go. Let's see. All right. Already I can see one issue, which isn't that big of an issue, but it will be an issue. So over here, this panel here is okay, sweet. So that makes it real easy for me, because now I can just keep this off for now, and then when it comes time to put it back together, I can measure it, cut it, and or just leave it off. Really doesn't matter. But let's see. Alright. I have to take this module box, the controller box, off for now. Just lay it right here. Yes, we are going to have to cut 1 inch off of this shaft here. Once we cut that 1 inch off, then we'll be golden. So don't let that kind of deter you. That's kind of just what you have to do. But like, that thing is looking amazing. Super happy with that. I have a feeling we are gonna have to trim this back part a little bit. Something I did not want to do, but that exhaust, I feel like we are gonna have to do that. The only other option is to, try to figure something else out. But I think that's what we're gonna have to do. You're gonna want to stick this on at least before you bolt the engine into place, because there's not room to stick this on before. So get that on. Let's turn this back around. All right. The next issue when it comes to this, the engine is a little bit lower to the ground, like as far as it's not as tall. So we are going to have to come up with some spacers, probably about a 1/2 inch or so, because we're hitting right here on this pulley system. So that's the next issue we're gonna have to address, is popping this on some spacers. Everything else though, as far as the mounts go, should fit perfectly. We shouldn't run into any issues that way, but definitely height is an issue. From the bottom to the middle of the shaft is roughly 7 inches. The bottom to the middle of the shaft here is like 5. So we might have to go up actually more. If you can see that. So we've got roughly 5.5 inches. So if I can go up another inch on a spacer, that might be the ticket. So this may be different if you're doing it on a Toro, Exmark, whatever else other brand you're doing it on. However, because we have to bring this up about an inch, that means we need inch longer bolts to do this. So you're gonna have to get longer motor mount bolts. My plan, I'm gonna run to True Value Hardware again for the second time and get longer bolts, 4 longer bolts, and then get try to find like an inch thick like washer that's like kind of fat. That way it gives it some beef to like mount on, and then we'll just mount that straight to, we'll stick the 1 inch washer under each position, 4th position, and then we should be good. It should hold it up high enough to where we have clearance right there. I have got the bolts. I've got the 1 inch spacers. So this is all I could find at my True Value. This should be plenty of like material to prop this up on without having any worries of like smushing down, anything like that. So we'll try that. Get this up on these, and here's the bolts. Should be fine. I'm gonna reuse the washers off of the bolts that it came with. Something like that. Lift this side up. There we go. Now we just have to find the hole. Come on. There we go. Whew. All right, good. I was worried that the wouldn't be long enough, but it's plenty long. Hopefully it's not too. So the hard part is done, I think. The engine is bolted in. Because I had to put these 1-inch spacers, this bolt, the long one, I had to run in from the bottom up instead of how this is top down. So this is how we're looking on this end. Right here we have, you know, some room to work with. Here it looks like so that right where it's at should really work. I think it should be good. We'll see. I might have to slide the engine back a little bit possibly, but I think it'll be fine right there. So I did talk to my dad about the clutch, and it was like 140 bucks. So we just ordered a new one. I will put that down in the description as far as which one I got. It's a 1-inch diameter one, so it'll just pop right on there. We should be golden. Okay, so this is actually not as bad as I was thinking it would be. It looks like this hood lid is hitting, but the exhaust is like from here to like here. So I may, as much as I hate to do this, either way, we're gonna have to cut this out somehow. We're gonna have to. I may just try to start by cutting here, and then maybe here and across here, and then like down here. And I think if I can do it that way, maybe here, just cut all these fins out. I think if I can do it that way, I think it will look pretty factory-ish. The only thing, yeah, I just don't know. I would like to still be able to use this, so maybe I'll start with, I don't know, guys. I don't know. All right, so the way this works, like it was when we put it on here, is this belt goes around like this and then on that. So what I'm gonna do, stick this, ooh, that's tight. I'm gonna have to use this guy, which is fine. But so this will go in here like this. All right. And I'm gonna need 2 hands for this, but let me see if I can give me a second. That is on there, nice and tight, so that will work, which is cool. I haven't tightened it down yet, the pulley, but it's on there. I wanted to pry off of this and see if I could get it to slide on just a tiny bit more. All right, that is maxed out right there. I think that will work perfectly right like that. Everything looks straight, and we should be good. Next thing I think we'll tackle is the fuel line, which I already have an extended line here. We're going to have to run this around like this to the passenger, or passenger side. I think I'll probably just kind of zip tie it to this mounting point right here. Zip tie it, and then we'll go around to the filter right there. And I might get rid of this filter here since we have one over here on this side. So I think that'll probably be what we'll do. One thing I do notice, the engine is a little forward, and I don't know if you guys can see the belt, but there is a slight, just a little too far forward. So either slide the engine back a little bit, which might be my only option at this point, which I should be able to do just a hair, but we'll probably run with it like this, and I'll see what it does. If it tends to throw the belt or whatever, we'll figure that out. All right, so I've got the fuel line routed around here like this. That should work. These are in. We got the choke cable, works when you pull it. The throttle, I need to get a different bolt. It does work, but it slides because it's not tight. However, that gives us full range of motion as well. And now we're on to the fun part. I will try to explain this. This is the system that was in here. This is the wiring harness that I took off of the John Deere. So you can see there's 4 wires here. I need to look up still what those are and where they go. But if you look back here on the starter, this will say connect positive battery cable here, obviously. So this came off of the John Deere as well. So this is going to clip in right where this connector is. So this will go right there. You'll take that off. This was connected where this wire was. So this will go down. And then here's the battery cable from the battery. That will go on here as well. And so that will take care of these two harnesses. But you'll see right here, still in this loomed harness, there's this. Now this is a ground cable. So this will go to the block somewhere. We'll put a ground there. And then this is the other cable, is a ground cable as well. So we'll bunch these two together and that will go to ground. You want to make sure to get your grounds connected back. That will make a big difference. That is, as far as that goes, that is the battery side all connected. The part that I'm still not sure, and I'll probably look through the manual to see exactly what these wires are. This little doohickey here has a circuit protect, kind of like a breaker. So I know this red wire must be power, probably, because normally it is. And then it's got these two other wires, yellow and black and red, that are coming from this box. So once I disconnect this stuff, you know, we'll have the box out of the way. Again, this is going to come off. You're going to take that off. You're going to take this cable off as well. And we're getting rid of this box altogether. Guys, it's been a couple days. You don't know that, but I do. I've got this wired up. So everything is now working like it should. So I'm gonna cover this wiring for you. All right, guys, hang with me while I explain the wiring situation. This is probably the part that was the most difficult for me, at least. I'm not an electrician and I don't really care for wiring stuff, but I will cover to the best of my ability. So this is coming from the battery. All right, this is going to the starter. Okay, you've got your other wire. That's these two wires were these three wires. Let me just start this. This is all factory stuff. So this goes to fusible link, some other things, I'm not exactly sure what all, but the point is these get connected back to your starter right there. It's a spade connector right here that clips on right like that. All right, and then you've got everything else is going through this main post right here. We've covered these wires. Now there's back in here, you can see the grounds. I hooked them, there's three ground wires here. I hooked two. One's from the chassis of the mower, the other one's from this wiring harness, and then the other one's from here, and I'll explain that in a minute. So that's where I chose to do my ground. Right here, coming out of this Predator engine here, is a yellow and green wire. The yellow needs to be hooked up to a key switch power. So when you turn the key on, this needs to get power, the yellow one. The green one
is ground. The mower will not start if this green wire is not grounded down. This works the fuel like solenoid shut off sort of thing. So this needs to be grounded. So that's why I ran it to a ground right here. You can see it's red and black wire. It's grounded. Very important to get that because it will not work unless this is grounded. This right here is also to the charging system, I believe, and it as well, I believe it needs to be grounded too. I plugged this back in. I'll be honest, I just plugged this back into the harness where I knew the old engine had this plugged into. I think it's ground, I'm pretty sure, but anyways, that's where this wire came from, plugged back into that. And that's pretty much it. These green or blue wires here are part of the charging system, but you don't need to worry about that. Now, I have seen some people not want to run this to your battery because without a diode, because they're worried about power source coming back through and running in here. However, this has diodes inside of it, guys, that will not let power go in, like reverse. So power's only coming out. This is what helps regulate your battery. So that is pretty much all the wiring explained. Back here, I will explain this. So you remember that we had an issue with the clutch. The crankshaft on the John Deere was like 1 1/8 inches, I think, and the drive shaft on this is 1 inch. So there's a difference. That's why we had to put this, buy this one, and I will also put the link down in the description of this. So that's kind of the situation. I had to make a little spacer to slide on here, and then slide this on so it gets nice and tight. Now, I had the thread pitch on this is a very weird thread pitch, so I had to order that thread pitch, and it should be here today, so we'll be able to put that on. Now, the belt, though, is the only other thing. Now the belt is too short. So we are going to have to figure out I'm either going to have to get a longer belt, which is a pain, but it might be the only option. Longer belt, or I might even have a longer belt in the garage here. We'll just have to check and see, but regardless, this belt is too small now. I'm guessing because we had to boost the engine up right here. You can see we had to move this up about 1 inch, and so that combined with possibly this pulley is bigger. I think it's a little bigger in diameter than the old one, and that could be the main issue. If you look right here, you can see how much. So this pulley is about the same size as the clutch, and then this pulley is just the black one is way bigger. So you can see why we're running into a belt issue Unfortunately, we're gonna have to get a new drive belt for the mowing deck. However, that being said, let me pull this off. I will demonstrate how well this engine actually does run and start, and it's all run by the key switch. So we've got choke, which works. This is your choke cable here. It's going in the top. If you remember, it came in from this side from factory, and we're utilizing these. Now you will have to get some nuts and a bolt to pinch this, and I need to revisit this with a different bolt. It is not working correctly. It's not getting tight enough. So all right, so I'm gonna just demonstrate this. You'll pull the choke, you'll give it just a tiny bit of gas because it will need a little bit of throttle. We'll hit the key. It shuts off with the key. So that is important, having the key shut off as well. There is a couple other things we're gonna have to do with like trimming. We're gonna have to trim these ears where I've marked with Sharpie. It just won't sit down. We may even have to trim some of this right here. This panel here that earlier that goes right here, if I put this back, which I think I'm going to, we're definitely gonna have to trim that as well. And then the biggest trimming will take place on this piece. We will have to cut some of those fins out to fit the exhaust. All right, so here is the little trimming that I had to do. So you can see cut out here and then over on this side. And then you will have to notch this out if you're working on a John Deere. Most all of this is going to be John Deere specific, guys. So you'll have to notch that out because of these bolts right there. And I'll show you. All right, if you look down in there, you can see where it's notched out right there. So you will have to notch that out. All right, guys, I just got back from the store and I have found a belt that works. So as we left off, the belt here was too short. This belt is 2 inches longer, and it is a perfect, you couldn't have fit better. So here is the part number. 483241, and I believe it was for a Cub Cadet mower. I went to Dickerson Equipment, which is in Fredericksburg. That was the one that ended up having it. It was, I want to say $50 something with tax, so not too bad. These belts can get really expensive, but it wasn't that bad at all. So all that to say, this belt will work. I'm going to keep this. Now, your specific application may not work unless you are doing exactly everything the same way as I am. Like if you're following it to a T, then this will work. 1 inch spacer under the engine, and then this belt. You can see down here that there still is some give. It's not like all the way up. There's give. That's what you want, but it's really tight as well. Now, one of the last steps for hooking this up is going to be this connector right here, which comes with your adapter. Also, don't forget your bolt. We're gonna have to, let me see, this is supposed to be the right bolt, but man, oh, it is. Okay. Phew, I was about to say, for a second there I thought they got the wrong bolt. All right, so I got this crank bolt for the crankshaft. Where is it? Oh, I got it off of Amazon. I will also be putting this in the description, the link. But it was a 6 count, and the size is a 3/8-24. 3H-24 is the thread pitch. It's a very fine print and or fine thread, and it is important. I got way more than I need, but it was like $7 for this whole thing. So this is what you're gonna need. Now what I'm gonna do is, this came with the clutch as well. I'm gonna stick that on the end like this, and then run my bolt through it like that. Now I recommend putting Loctite on this bolt, so that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm going to use my impact to snug it on there. Not overly tight, but you don't want that coming off. If that comes off and then your clutch slides off, it could cause some damage. But other than that, that is what we did. Let me just review with you guys. There is about a inch spacer I put right back in here. Then this will go all the way on. Now the bracket for this originally, I think, was connected to the engine. I do not have that. I have welded this L bracket from previous onto here, because you will need to make sure this does not spin when you engage your either engage your clutch or just when it's idling, because this thing will spin. So yeah, make sure that doesn't happen, or else your wiring will get all twisted up. All right, so we're gonna spin this on. At this point, I would make sure, like, put your belt on. You're gonna have to put your belt on first before you slide this on. So like, put it on and then slide it on, if that makes sense. Tighten down. Now once you get it tight, it's more than likely going to start spinning the crankshaft. So that's why I was saying I'm gonna tap it with the impact, just to make sure it's on secure. Yeah, so I'm starting to spin the crank. That bolt, if you get the same bolt that I'm going to link in the description, this is going to be a 14 millimeter. Now we're going to come over here and we'll see if this harness is like universal. I think it might be. So if you look over here, we've got a T, kind of like a, let's see if I can get this to balance first. Alright, so you've got like a T, and this literally pops right in there, and then This side is self-explanatory because it's got like that little nub right there. Let me get the light. Okay, much better. So you can see that little nub right there. This side is self-explanatory because this clip has to go in that, and it'll clip in like that. So that's how you know. And then this side, I was saying it's a T shape, so you can't mess this. It'll only go one way as well. I'm gonna zip tie this to this harness right here, but we want to make sure it stays away from this belt. So about 1.5 inches off of this angle. So we're gonna do that, and we'll start with that and see how much farther we need to cut off, but we'll start there. All right, I'm just gonna clean these edges up. All we have left now is to trim the back of this. The problem with not cleaning your workspace is that you can't find your tools when you need them. Now, you can see, if you look right there, you can see the gap. There is about a 1/2 inch gap. If you wanted to get into like the nitty gritties, then you could only take about a 1/2 inch off. I took about 1 inch off. So if you want it to be closer, you can take a 1/2 inch off, and or you can just take a 1/4 inch off and start with that, and then go as needed. But I'm happy with that. Gives it some clearance. So I have it on there, but I think we're going to have to trim this all the way. All right. This might just actually work. Moment of truth. Oh yeah. Oh guys. There you go. Y'all have no idea how happy I am that that worked. Man, that is awesome. So you can see it's all full functional like it came from the factory. Even that, and it's surprisingly with this cut out, it's not too flimsy either. That snaps on. Perfect. I just added some more oil to it. When you fill this engine up with oil, you have to account for this oil cooler right here. So when you fill it up and it says full, go drive it, run it for a couple seconds or a minute or so, and then I would say a couple seconds, to be honest. 30 seconds. Make sure oil gets distributed to the cooler, and then recheck it, and you'll have to add oil. But make sure you add oil or else you will be under oiled. Also, I recommend checking your oil
Well, I typically check mine every time I mow. I need to mow myself, so I'm gonna run it through some tall grass that hasn't been mowed. We've got a lot of rain here in Virginia, and let's just see how this thing does. All right, guys, remember how I told you all that, well, that the engine was a little far forward, and that belt for the pump was a little off? Well, yes, it's a little off. So what I need to do is I need to loosen up the engine and slide it back about a ½ an inch or a ¼ of an inch. All right, guys, it has been a very eventful couple of days, but what ended up happening is, just some recap. This pulley that I put on was not properly aligned, which resulted in the belt slipping off, shredding, getting wrapped around the hydro pump right here, and causing the seal to go bad. So it started leaking from the hydraulic pump. So I had to get a new belt, realign the pulley, which I ended up having to flip around. So the tightening spot was here. I can't remember if I videoed that or not. However, I got that taken care of. Started leaking, so then I went to Greenline and they only sold the seal in a kit. It was $150 for the kit, and all I needed was the seal, but the kit was to rebuild this hydro pump here. So I ended up, there was no way I was going to spend $150 just for the seal. I measured it with my little gauge in millimeters, found one online. I'm about to put it in now. I will put the link, if this does work, I will put the link in the description. It'll save you a good amount of money if you're doing this on a John Deere, or if that seal that goes on there goes bad. Regardless, you know, you're going to want to do, you know, you're not going to want to spend that kind of money. Remember though too, the nut that goes on there is a reverse thread. So left tightens it. Remember that, because if you go to take this off and you do it left, you're going to be tightening it down, you're going to strip it out, and you could even cause more damage, break stuff, who knows. But anyway, so when you go to put it back on, make sure your impact or whatever's in reverse, going left. And then when you're going to take it off, make sure it's going right. So that's a little pro tip for you there. But we're going to go ahead and stick this on. And this started leaking, so I'm going to have to add some more fluid. And this actually takes, I think it's 10W30 oil. So not hydraulic fluid, it uses oil. So let me pop this in. I sure hope this works. And I am happy to announce that I have officially fixed this, got it running. There is absolutely no leaks coming from this hydro pump, which is a good thing. The belt is aligned perfectly, and we were mowing with it. Bring this up. Mowing with it, good. So I'm gonna finally get you guys what you want, which is a video of it mowing. So let's go.
shut it off, and we'll look back here, make sure everything is good. Yep, still no leak from the hydro pump, which was right there. So belt perfect, got tension on it. I would call this success. I will say this right here gets really hot because the exhaust literally comes out. So I don't know, eventually I may put like a little, I don't know, a sleeve that's got like a tiny like elbow or something to kind of get it away, from this, or we could just cut this out. I'll kind of leave it up to my dad. If it's an issue for him, then we can address it. But that is a wrap on the engine swap for this. It is totally possible. It's not as hard as you might think. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I will try to get back to them at a timely manner. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and stay posted for the next video on, I don't even know what it could be, but it could be trail, Jeep, it could be mower, it could be truck, it could be, I don't know, there's a dozen things it could be around this at this point. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. And a side note, if any of this was helpful, please give this a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're not. I'm trying to grow the channel. I would really appreciate it if you found this helpful. If not, click on bye. Thanks.